Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Rosie here, and it is time for what I'm sure is going to be a long-ass mega review of Halloween Kills. I know y'all been expecting this one for a while now, and I will deliver. I decided this or House of a Thousand Corpses. I couldn't decide which one to watch. I put it to a vote. I already knew which one y'all were going to pick, but I just put it to a vote anyway. Just to kind of get the hype ready, bro. Get the hype ready for Halloween Kills. Rosie's tackling of Halloween Kills, man. So, this is a movie I've talked about before on streams and stuff. I know I've mentioned it in other reviews, too. I've mentioned this movie a lot. And I think one of the reasons that this movie comes up a lot is because there's a lot in this movie. There is a lot to go over in this movie. This isn't as simple of a movie as Halloween 5 is, for instance. This isn't as simple of a movie. Some people make it out to be. A lot of criticisms with this movie is that it's just Myers walking around killing people the whole time, so movie bad. It's just movie bad. It's like a Jason movie. It's just Myers just going around. He kill people. That's the movie, bro. It may appear that way to someone who's not thinking. That's a mean phrasing. That's a mean phrase. I'm not, saying that it's just Myers killing people the whole movie is a very surface level evaluation of what's being given to you when you watch this one. It's a very surface level interpretation. It's very easy when you're talking about Kills to say Kills is not as good as 2018, therefore Kills trash. Like, you know what, and yes, Kills, this is not as good as 2018. 2018 it was the best installment of the trilogy by far. I don't even know if it's close. Like, 2018 is the better movie, obviously. That's not a secret to anybody. We all know that. If you're objectively picking one, 2018 is the better movie. But there are a lot of things that this movie does right. And when you watch this one, if you are a fan of the character Michael Myers, this movie is unlike any other one in the franchise. This movie has a way of getting your inner fanboy, just get that adrenaline pumping. This movie knows, it shows you it understands its character. It shows you, it truly does. The movie shows you it truly loves and appreciates Michael Myers. So people who love and appreciate Michael Myers will appreciate this movie. That's why I'm so shocked the people that made this one went and then committed character assassination in the follow-up to the movie. It's so shocking. It's so shocking that the same people that were responsible for this, probably the greatest character work of Myers' life, his entire existence, the greatest character study of Michael Myers that's ever been done, then went on to commit character assassination the following year. It's honestly groundbreaking how that works. But if you understand the character, I guess you know how to commit character assassination of that character, I guess. So, because that's what they did. They proved they proved in this movie that they understood Myers. So, and then they took that information and assassinated him in the next movie. But trying to, not think about that, there is a lot here, dude. There is a lot here. And I think what we're titling this one is, this is a very flawed movie, but an excellent character study. Just going off that. If you are analyzing this as a movie, it is very flawed. Very flawed. And there's things in the movie you can't defend. I'm going to rip into the movie for its issues, because it does have issues. And especially if you're looking for them. If you're looking for them, they're going to be very noticeable. But if you're looking for the right stuff is also there. This movie is not garbage. This movie is not shit. I don't understand why when this came out, people were calling it shit. This movie's not shit. If you like Myers, this is not a shit movie. This will be nowhere near the bottom of the list if you are a fan of the Halloween franchise. Now, again, maybe a casual that hasn't watched them all, or, they're just a casual fan that maybe what's being given to you here can't hook your interest. And that's neither here nor there. But the fans, I've never met a fan of this franchise that watched this movie and said, this is bad. This is shit. Everybody that has, like, problems with this movie and ranks it toward, like, mid or bottom is just, they're just, you know, they're not, I'm not gonna, because, like, there are horror fans that don't like this, and I'm not trying to take away their agency. The movie Timeline guy didn't like this one. But it's just, like, it's just I've never met a diehard Halloween fan. That's what I would call myself. Halloween is my favorite franchise. I've never met somebody deeply invested in the franchise that hates this one. It's not that kind of movie. Fans will get it. Maybe the average man won't. Maybe every nod to the original is not going to be observed. I will point out the ones that I saw that maybe you missed, but like, it's just those little details, man. Stuff that'll make the fans smile. But anyway, I guess we should go ahead and get started with this one. This is the middle of the horse, okay? This is the middle of the horse, so we're gonna, and even 2018 wasn't as good as you remembered it. It's a little worse than you remembered it, man. So, picking up from 2018, we start here. We start with Halloween Kills, man. We start with a kind of recap of where we are. Where we are is a little bit fuzzy in this movie in some places, but then once the timelines get merged and everything gets straightened out, we figure it out real fast. But we start with a voiceover of Sartain and Hawkins from the previous movie, and we transition to Cameron calling Oscar the incel. Okay, about you messed up with Allison, bro. He says be safe, and we see Oscar already impaled. That was cute. That was a little dark humor. But Cameron ends up finding Hawkins, and we're just not acknowledging the fact he was ran over by a fucking car. I swear to God, he was killed off. He was killed off, and then they regretted the decision, so they brought him back. We're not acknowledging the fact he got hit by a fucking car, ran over his fucking, I swear it hit his dick. Like, I'm gonna have to go rewatch that. The car, like, runs him right, like, just runs over his cock, bro. Like, it's very hard for me to forget that detail. Because it runs him over. Like, the man is dead, but, you know, whatever. And then, so Cameron's trying to fix the wound, and then Hawkins is be all like, it needs to die. Calling back to Loomis, the soundbite from the 2018 movie. And then we then transition to the main appeal of the opening of this movie, which is a flashback sequence to Halloween 78. And this is one of those things that, again, the fans of the franchise really like this. I'll tell you why we do. I, for one, appreciated just the attention to detail, the vehicles that they showed. Lonnie Elam being in, like, the same red jacket. Like, the vehicles, the scenery, the lighting. They changed the entire movie's lighting for that flashback sequence. The slight alterations in the mask and just, like, the slight, you know, not even slight, just because, like, he looks like they created a mask that looked very similar to the 1978 one. Just Myers' look slightly altered, the jumpsuit being a slightly different color to reflect what he wore in 78. It's just, they really did their best to kind of capture the mood and atmosphere using similar style music. Like, they really did their best to recapture Halloween 78, and they kind of needed to. Like, this isn't just there to be fanboy flashbacks. Like, Hawkins' role in Halloween 78 was something they alluded to in 2018, but was something that they needed to really expand on. So there is a reason that they're doing this. So we see Hawkins, he shoots at Michael, who is just walking around, and then his backup arrives and shit like that. And we get the first instance of the movie where one of the cops that Hawkins is working with, his partner, he calls him, says that he used to know Myers as a kid. And what Myers used to do was he would go and stand in Judith's bedroom window, and he would look out the window. And that's just one of those things where Myers looking out the window in this movie, it's something that doesn't really return and ends, and it wasn't previously mentioned in 2018. It's something that's just in this movie. Myers Myers in that window, okay, we see a lot of intimate moments with Myers in this movie, but that's the word I'm going to use. Like, what moments that, like, are given to you in this, we see Myers' intimate side. And again, that might sound like a weird word choice, but we see things and people talk about Myers in this movie in ways that are not in any other movie. The window and stuff like that, just like how the Laurie's monologue at the end, Hawkins says a few things. Like, I mean, people characterizing Myers through their dialogue is nothing new. That was the entire role of Loomis in 1978 movie. That's what he's there to do. So, like, that kind of characterization is nothing new. But, like, in this movie, they, like, when they're trying to capture Myers' headspace, they always go back to that window. They talk about, like, what he might be looking at, what he sees, like, what his headspace is. And again, it's not what they're telling you with these. I'll say this again later. It's not what these things are saying, because if we as fans of the character already kind of know what they're trying to get at here, and they did it in the last movie too. It's all about the way that they do it and the execution. But for right now, it's just one of those weird Myers ticks where it's just like, oh, he went and stared out the window a bunch when he was little. You know, it's just one of those weird things for right now. But it'll come back, and we'll go a bit more into it later on in the movie. So basically, we transitions to Lonnie Elam getting bullied by some kids that don't come back at all. Lonnie, weird and scrawny, has bad dreams, so cries to mommy. Lol. That's what happens when you fuck with the Mulaney's. Kind of cringe, but in a funny way. They should have brought them back, man. We needed the Mulaney's, man. We needed the adult Mulaney's. We didn't get them. Big sad on no adult Mulaney's, man. But that was kind of cute, though. How they kind of went back and added something to the lore of the 78 Haddonfield. They kind of went back and they inserted the Mulaney's in there, who are, you know, it's like I want to see more of the Mulaney's, bro. So, but I thought that was a good touch. I kind of wish they were brought back. But anyway, so basically, the cop shows up and he's like, "Get the fuck out of here, bro." And then the Mulaney's leave, and then Lonnie sees Myers, like, behind a bush, okay? So he starts running away, and then he trips, and then Myers is about to presumably probably walk right, but Myers doesn't really kill kids for the most part. But, so Myers is coming up behind him, and then the cops show up, and then he runs away. So this is setting up Lonnie's face-to-face encounter that we're gonna deal with later. Like I say, they added a bit more they added a bit more to Lonnie and to Lonnie's backstory, giving him an encounter with Myers to kind of set him up for being in later in the movie. But so that's what they're doing here. They needed to do something with him, so they used the flashback sequence to kind of do that. So good on them. So basically, Hawkins and his partner get to the Myers house, and they investigate. Like they start investigating, and they go up the stairs and shit like that. They actually find the dead dog that was mentioned in the 78 movie. How when Loomis and Brackett are in the house, they say that he's cooking something, and that there's, like, I think Brackett said there was a dead dog, and then Loomis is like, he got hungry, right? So, like, they knew like everything about their framework. No little detail of 78 gets left out of here. So that was pretty good. So they keep investigating the house. Hawkins' partner enters Judith's room, okay, and he starts staring out her window too, and Myers' footprints are right there, okay. So here's the kind of situation they're setting it up here. But the first instance of it happens here, where like that he's in Myers' headspace, he's at the exact spot where Myers used to stare out the bedroom window, and it's like they talk about this earlier, like, what are they looking at? Then they say that really cringe Haddonfield line. But, like, the point of that is, like, they were talking about Myers and why he might have been doing the things that he did. And so, like, trying to get that perspective, he then immediately is fucking attacked, right? Like, he tried to, like, put himself in Myers' shoes and then was immediately attacked. It's just a big metaphor for that whole being useless. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You'll never know. Don't even fucking worry about it. That's what that is. So Myers comes flying out from the other room into Judith's room. I believe that one sequence was the fastest that he's ever fucking moved in a Halloween movie. I could be mistaken there, but I don't think I am. The scene when he comes flying in from the room, I think it's the absolute fastest that he's ever moved on screen before. So he comes in with that certain amount of force that he doesn't have in some other scenes, and he's actually using rope to choke the cop, which, by the way, here's one of those nods to 78. In 78, Myers stole a mask, a couple of knives, and some rope, right? Duct tape, I think they said, something, maybe duct tape, I don't know. I'm trying to think, but I know rope. He stole rope from the hardware store, but it wasn't really used much. He does tie Bob up with it, but you don't see rope on screen when he does that. So, like, to see him using rope is a call. Like, they knew what he stole from the hardware store, and they kept that in. Like, he had a stash of rope to, like, do stuff with. And that was one of the things he did with it. So, there you go, bro. He's actually using rope. So, Hawkins tries to save his partner, but he ends up shooting him like a dumbass and ends up killing him. Okay? So, Myers basically goes out the front door. He gets that way after Hawkins shoots his partner. And then you can start to hear the sirens. And then Loomis shows up with the cops. Okay? Loomis is actually in the flashbacks. I'm sure you've seen this already, but Loomis is in the flashback sequences. Obviously, Donald Pleasance died 15, 17 years ago at this point. And the way that they actually did Loomis was not CG. Everybody thought it was CG at first, and then it was like, no, it was purely like makeup and prosthetics. Good stuff, dude. He looked the part, especially from a distance. I thought they did a really good job recreating Loomis for the 3 seconds that he was on screen. The little details like that are really good. And you can hear him talking. Here's where the illusion starts to get a little bit killed for me, though. When Loomis is saying little things like, stay back, Michael, stay where you are. Like, when he's saying little things like that, and maybe the tape recorder in the last movie helped out a little bit, too. But, when he's saying the shorter the better, with non-Donald Pleasance Loomis. When he was saying short little things, it worked. However, when he walked into the house, when he walked in the house and he was all like, "Oh, Mr. Hawkins, what happened in here? Tell me, did Michael kill again?" Like, when he talked for an extended period of time, the illusion started to wear thin. Special emphasis being given to, did Michael kill again? That was an especially bad line that that just shouldn't have been in the script. That right there kind of went a little too far. And again, when these little things though, a thing about creating a big flashback sequence like this is that once one detail starts to get a little bit off, it's very easy for the whole thing to completely fall apart. However, I think they did a good enough job to where that didn't happen here. I think it was just that one little section, that one little brief sequence. It also helped that was right before they ended it. So, the whole thing was pretty much already over when he said, did Michael kill again? And then the after that was a chef's kiss. Like, it was just that one line. The shot of Loomis exiting the house, okay? Loomis exits the house, right? He exits the house, and fucking Myers is just standing there. The camera zooms out, and all the cops are sitting there with their guns trained on him, and then the John Carpenter music's in the background. Boom, boom, you know the one. It was exactly it was like the exact shot from when his parents come in and they say, Michael, and they pull his little clown mask off, and then he's sitting there with the knife after he killed Judith. It was the same music cue and the same shot from when he was a kid. And he was just, it was, mwah! Like, that's right there's really good. it was a chef's kiss, mwah, just like that, and then like it's honestly fitting too. It's fitting that that's how he was captured. He was captured the same way he was when he was a kid. He walks out of the house, and then the people that need to capture him are right there, and all he does is just stare at him. Okay? Now, one criticism I've heard of this movie is that why does Myers surrender right there? Like, why does he do it? Right? Like, he kills all the firemen he kills all the firemen 40 years later, and then he kills the mob at the end of the movie, right? So he's like, why is he in that moment surrender? Okay? It can bother some people. Why does he surrender there? Okay? Here is my answer. Okay? Here is my answer as to why Myers just gives up in that moment. Okay? And some of you are not going to like this answer. It might just seem like a cop-out. It might just seem like a cop-out. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter why he surrendered in that moment. You can't... What this entire movie is telling you, okay, is that trying to put yourself in Myers' headspace is stupid and a waste of time. Okay? And that's something that other movies tell you too. Other movies tell you this too. This is a common theme with this character, and I find it executed really well here. But like, it doesn't matter why he did it. It doesn't matter. If I had, like, to me, it was just a choice he made in that moment. He felt like he did everything he came to do. He does a lot of things that are dumb and odd and don't make sense to us. You just aren't meant to know that answer. It just doesn't matter why he did it. He could have done it, there's several different things, like, it doesn't matter. He surrendered because he might have did this, he might have felt like that. And again, you can't, like, to sit there and justify with an answer of anything other than it doesn't matter would just be out of character for Myers. Again, my theory is that he was just done. He did everything he needed to do. He's like, okay, I don't mind going back now. I got out. You know, it's like, it doesn't matter. But the real answer is that it doesn't matter. And again, that might sound like a cop-out answer, but like, why does Myers do this? It doesn't matter. Why does Myers do that? It doesn't matter. When you're talking about Myers, you accept the answer, it doesn't matter, for every single other question. So why is it any different here? It doesn't matter. It's just another aspect of his character. It doesn't matter. Sometimes he'll surrender, sometimes he won't. It doesn't matter. But the shot was really good, and mwah. And then, after following the pullouts and ending of the flashback sequence, we transition to a jack-o'-lantern sequence, which is really fucking good as well. Following the jack-o'-lantern sequence signifying rebirth at the end for the 2018 movie, that's what was going on there. It signified a kind of rebirth of sorts of the franchise. However, this one right here was also equally as fitting in its own way. The lower pitch of the song, of the theme music, combined with the chorus of despaired people in the background, mwah, that's also very good. Then you get 12 jack-o'-lanterns signifying the 12th movie in the franchise. This is the 12th movie in the franchise. You get a jack-o'-lantern for each movie up to that point. Yep, even Resurrection got one. I know, right? Resurrection and Halloween 5 got one, dude. They all got jack-o'-lanterns. And then each jack-o'-lantern kind of like burns a little bit more, and then the one that signifies kills, the 12th one for this movie, is burning brighter than all of the other ones, suggesting a more violent Michael. Kind of like how the jack-o'-lantern sequence in Halloween 2 from 81 suggested something similar with how it split open and there was a skull there. It's kind of the same suggestion. This time they did it with fire, calling back to how he was burned in the first movie. And that's also his starting position in this movie, inside of the fire. That's where he starts. That's where we are right now. That you're being communicated Myers' new outlook in this movie. What kind of Myers you're going to get. You're getting that here. You're getting something a little more violent than you did in 2018 because of his mood. Whereas they almost burned him alive, he's pissed off now. Right? That's why the gore is upped in this movie. I've said that on stream before. The gore is overall upped in this movie. Myers does things particularly gruesome in this movie because his mood has changed. In 2018, we've talked about this before, kid in the candy store. He's out of the asylum having a good old fucking time. Having a good old fucking time on Halloween night. Now he's a little more pissed. He's a little more focused, a little more pissed off. I need my Coke, lads. So, that's what you get. Very good jack-o'-lantern sequence. There was a lot happening in terms of the characters. The character of Myers, and like you're getting told stuff. That's why I found the end sequence so fucking bad. It was just there to be there. They weren't doing anything with it. But, oh well. Moving on. So now we're at the bar, okay? Tommy Doyle, Lonnie Elam, Lindsay, and then Marion are all talking about the Myers being the one who possibly killed people at the gas station here. Okay? This was an odd choice. I get why Tommy, Lindsay, and Lonnie are there, but Marion just feels a little bit out of place. I do not know why she is there. I don't know what she's doing. Because Marion in the 78 movie was a colleague of Dr. Loomis. They don't really say what she was. I know she's in Halloween 2, but I haven't seen that one in a little bit. So I don't know if they explicitly state her role. But she's with these people who Marion was probably like what, in her late 20s, early 30s in 78. I don't know. That's what she looked like. Maybe, I don't know. Sorry, Marion, if you're a little younger than that. But she was like, she had a career already, and these other kids were like 5, right? They were in elementary school. So I find it hard to believe that like those are her best friends at this point. However, they do have Myers in common, so maybe they met at some fucking Michael Myers victim support group or something. I don't fucking know. Who fucking knows, dude? Maybe they met at Michael Myers Anonymous. Maybe they met at that fucking guy from Saw 7 who wrote, I'm pulling out that fucking reference. The Bobby guy from Saw 7, maybe he made a Michael Myers support group or whatever. And he's like, about all of Michael Myers victims, and he starts giving his speech, and then Tommy Doyle comes in, and he's like, I think I can speak for everyone here when I say how grateful we are to be a part of your promotional DVD. And then he starts clapping. Obligatory Saw 7 reference for you there, guys. We'll do Saw one day. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's how that happened. Maybe that's how they all met, dude. But the people in front of them, or the black doctor and nurse duo, are getting annoyed about how loud they are. These are the same people that we saw in 2018 during Myers' long shot candy store splurge. The hot little black nurse, yeah, her. She's actually a doctor, guys. and the husband who's dressed up as the doctor, is actually a nurse. You get it? They kind of flipped them around a little bit. They're cute. See, I believe that. I believe that that's something that they would do if they were in that situation. So cute. Good stuff there. So basically, we don't really know where we are in the timeline at this point, but the nurse dude goes to get the drinks, and the guy whose bar this is can't really talk. So I hope you have subtitles. I hope he doesn't say anything important there, but like if the first couple times I watched it, I didn't have the subtitles on, so I kind of missed what he was saying about some stuff. But it's nothing that breaks the movie in any way. But it's there, just saying. Basically, Tommy takes the stage and basically just recaps Halloween 78 if you missed it. I don't know. Have you guys seen that one? Have you guys seen Halloween 1978? It's pretty good if you missed it. It's a pretty good movie. It's only preserved by fucking Congress. You might want to fucking watch it. It's preserved by Congress, bro. So basically, we transition over to Laurie because he's like, to Laurie, and they all like go to Laurie, and then they transition over. So now we know where we are, where the Laurie is like holding her stomach, and then the firefighters show up, and then they pass him, right? The firefighters are past him, and Laurie's screaming, "Let it burn!" at him. So, my question now, okay, it's even revealed later in this movie that Laurie has neighbors, to the point where those neighbors can smell when her fucking house is on fire. I guess maybe they called 911 or whatever. My question is, if you know that you're setting this fucking fire, and you have people that live close enough to where Myers can actually go kill them after he leaves the compound again. Keep this all in mind. Like, they're close. So he can get there on foot and kill them. My question to Lori now becomes, what the fuck did you think was going to happen if you set your fucking house on fire? Like, what the fuck did you think was going to happen? In 2018, it looked like she was very secluded in her own existence. This is a theme for the entire movie. She looked like she was secluded in her own little private spot in the woods. So her plan of lure him in, burn him down, made a lot more sense in that movie because she looked like she lived in her own fucking isolated part of the world. But now it's, she's got neighbors and stuff. They can smell her fucking compound on fire. So it's like, what the fuck did you think was going to happen? Like, did you think that, okay, there's just a huge fucking fire in the woods. In the woods. Yeah, you ever heard of a forest fire? You know? Like, I don't, like, Lori ends up looking really fucking stupid because of the changes made to her setting. Like, why would you, like, if you wanted to do something a little better, Lori, maybe you should have, like, fucking put carbon monoxide down there with him. You ever heard of carbon monoxide? It's odorless and colorless. No one will even know you're doing it. You know what I'm saying? The decision to use a fire now looks really fucking stupid because of the fact it's revealed she's got fucking neighbors that probably called the fucking fire department to go do exactly what they did, which was go put the fire out, you know, what firefighters do. I don't even know, dude. A lot of questions there. Okay, so the firefighters, of course, get to the fucking house, and then they start putting the fucking fire out, but one of them ends up falling through the floor, okay? And he falls from the floor right to the basement. So, of course, Myers is there. He wastes no fucking time killing the guy. I actually liked this because, like, Myers was not... it showed Myers' lack of concern about his environment. He didn't give a fuck that the house was burning down. He didn't care. It gave him a sense of control over his own situation. And, like, that's what the killer needs. I mentioned today, previously, in my... Scream first impressions, that when the killer stumbles around and looks stupid, like, it doesn't work for me. So, like, to see Myers in this fucking situation, he's not concerned about what he's doing. He is just killing motherfuckers. Like, that gave him a sense of control over the situation that I really appreciated. Really good stuff. Okay, so basically, the fire, we talked about this already. The fire around him is a reflection of his new attitude, his change in attitude through the course of the previous movie to this movie, with the decision to take place on the same night. This is how they conveyed the more threatening version of Myers. Okay, and the decision to burn the mask is how they retain that difference in mood, even when he's not inside the burning house anymore. When this first scene here, when he's at the burning house, he's all in the fire, like, that's the visual representation. The way they retain that new mood and new presence is via the burned mask. That's why they did it. They didn't just burn the mask to burn it, or, oh, well, it looks cool. I mean, that's certainly part of it. Like, it's certainly part of it, but there's still a reason that they fucking burn the mask from a character perspective. That's how you know the writing of this movie isn't terrible. They burn the mask to retain that fucking change in mood even when he's not at the house anymore. Get it? Got it? Good. So, basically, Myers joins another one to the basement and then he walks out the front door, okay? That's how he got out of Laurie's big magic trap. He walked out the front door. Again, you could easily find that insulting. You could easily find that a little bit rude and disrespectful to Laurie's character. Yes, Myers gets out, and it's good that he does have that sense of control over the situation. The firefighters did kind of help him, though. But the fact that he just walked out the front door, that's what he did there, guys. Like, Myers kind of was just walking out. Like, I wish he didn't walk out the front door. I don't know, because the shot's really good. The character stuff is off, though. I don't know. The fact that he just walked out the front door kind of made Laurie Strode look incompetent the past 40 fucking years, you know? So, like, they needed to find a good middle ground where to give Michael a good way to exit, but still keep Laurie looking competent. Because Laurie's character kind of suffered here because he got out so easily, one, and two, she had no fucking plan for the fucking firefighters that were going to obviously be there. It needed some form of alteration. Like, maybe he gets out through the basement or something. Like, something a little more, I don't want to say desperate, because the killer should be in control of most situations, but kind of a marriage where Myers was cool under pressure, but he was cool under the pressure, but still, they needed to convey it was a slight challenge for him to get out to keep Laurie strong, because now Laurie just looks like an idiot. A theme that would continue in Ends, especially. But that being said, when he exits the house, the fire's fucking blazing behind him, and like the firefighters all stop what they're doing and look at him. That's really good. That's a really good shot. It really is. And again, that's something you get only in this movie, man. That's why it's like, I know they showed this in the trailer, and that's why like a lot of people don't give this movie some of the credit, because a lot of the good sequences were shown way too much in the trailer. But like that like, it's really good. So like, I just wish they would have married it a little bit and just kept Laurie looking a little bit stronger. But Myers just walks out of the house and actually butchers the fireman, just kills him. He just he kills one of them with like a power drill. That's the last. He impales one, just breaks down their shit with the little axe or thingy in his hand. Like, he just fucking butchers them all, okay? This right here is a mixed bag. And this is a common theme. This is one of the bigger issues with the movie, okay? It's visually really good, and watching Myers take out the whole fucking fire department is really good, okay? It's really good. However, the issue I have is, and this is an issue that continues through this movie, the blocking is fucking garbage. It's the blocking is just really bad, okay? The blocking of this sequence doesn't make a lot of sense for the most part. There is a part where two of them kind of go after him at the same time, but for the most part, I think that's the only sequence. The firemen just kind of stand around and wait to die. That's what it kind of looks like. Like, one guy gets killed, he gets impaled, the others are just standing there, and they watch him get impaled, and then then it's time for the next guy with his power drill to die. Like, why didn't you take the power drill and come at him while he was fucking impaling somebody, you know? Like, just the blocking didn't make much sense here, especially since they're like trained firemen with a bunch of weapons. I would have preferred, here would be my solution to that. I would have preferred if all the firemen were in the house, and then there was a fast-paced sequence in the house of Myers taking them all out one by one. That's what I would have preferred here. To watch Myers, I know he's supernatural, so he can. It's just that they did him a lot of favors by standing around, didn't they? Like, to convey Myers' power, like, I think if there was like a fast-paced stealth sequence inside the house of him efficiently killing all the firemen with the little thingamajig in his hand in the house, like rounding the corners, hiding, like just taking them all out really quickly in the house and then exiting the house and just dropping the thing and then walking away, I feel like that's what would have saved you there. You know, you could have had a lot of the same shots of him exiting the house. You would have lost the fireman looking at him, but you would have gained a betterly executed scene of him butchering the fireman. Because as visually good as a lot of it was, the blocking kind of ruins it. If you're like, again, if you can just sit back and watch it, that's one thing. But if you're thinking about it, the more you pick apart the fireman's actions in the scene, they just stand around and wait to die. Like, that's what it all boils down to. They're disposable characters in the horror movie that sit around and wait to die. So that's something that you could easily fault. I would have just reworked the sequence entirely just to be a little bit different. But overall, again, it's still visually good. It's impressive. Like, if you're willing to forgive the blocking issues and just not think about it too much, like, it's really good. But it just depends on how you're looking at it. On one hand, it's probably, like, if you just here watch Myers fuck shit up, it's one of the best scenes in the entire franchise. But if you're looking at it from a deeper perspective, a lot of it did need an adjustment. But, okay, there's what I gotta say about that. That's the thing. The issues with the blocking will come up again. That will not be the last time you hear that. The blocking of this movie is really bad. But anyway, Laurie enters the hospital on a stretcher. Okay, and then Sheriff Brackett is introduced as a guard at the hospital. He's just kind of there. Doesn't have much to do, but he's kind of there. I miss Brad Dourif. We get Karen reacting to Ray's death, which was left out of the last movie. Okay, that was left out of the last movie, likely due to the fact that Myers was in the house. They should have did a little bit more with it in the conclusion or something. Or fucking anything would have been nice, but. Now, this is what we got. And it's really fun. There's a scene where she's, like, looking for Ray's body. I know where Ray is. He was in Laurie's compound. He's fucking ashes. Laurie gave you a free fucking cremation. Laurie gave you a free fucking cremation by burning her fucking house down. And Myers stashed him in the closet at the end of the last movie. Remember that? He stashed his body in the closet to lure Laurie in there and buy him some time. Does anybody remember that fucking shit? So, yeah, Ray's ashes now, bruh. Ray is fucking ashes. But basically, but we still don't follow up on the sketchy character work that got us there. And I was thinking a lot about that because again, I picked this apart last time, but I'll say it here because it bears repeating that when you actually pick Laurie's plan apart, Karen and Allison have every right to be really fucking mad at her because if the entire plan was to lure Myers into the compound and fucking burn him alive, if that was her plan, why or was her family anywhere near that situation other than to be bait? If you're Laurie, in your worldview, okay, later in the movie, if the worldview of Laurie Strode is that Michael Myers is coming for you, and your plan is to lure him to your house and burn him alive, then why in God's name is your family there? Why? And remember, she wanted them all there. She called out like the cops escorted her to the house, remember? And they were going to bring Allison to the compound. This was the plan. This is where they wanted them all to be. And of course, again, we say this, Laurie's house may be the safest fucking house in Haddonfield, which it probably is. But if Myers is in the house, it's still not as safe as being, I don't know, out of Haddonfield. Sometimes the best way to deal with something is to not deal with it, you know? That's bad life advice, lads. Don't listen to that. But, so it's like we talked about this in the 2018 movie review, but it's true. The best, even if Laurie's house is the safest house in existence, if Myers is in it, it's less safe than every other house, because Myers is in it. So, why didn't you have the family get in their car and get the fuck out of Haddonfield? You know? Why did you keep that big? So, that's why Allison and Karen could easily have the view of Laurie just used us as bait and got Ray fucking killed. Which, that's something that could have been expanded upon through the character work of this movie. But here's the thing, lads. There is no character work in this movie outside of Michael Myers. Michael Myers is the only person in this fucking movie who gets any character work. It's a great character study of Michael Myers, but this is why it's a great character study inside of a very flawed movie. The rest of the characters do not get character work at all. The entire focus of the character work is on Michael Myers. There is a little bit with Hawkins, there's a little bit with there's a little bit with Hawkins and a little bit of Laurie. But for the most part, the characterization of this movie is entirely Michael Myers. And, that's why, a Michael Myers fan will like this movie. Not only is there a lot of Michael Myers getting characterized, but it's done in the way of, they don't get him wrong. They do him right. He stares out the window. Don't put yourself in his headspace. There's nothing there. Evil, devil's eyes, pure evil. Does not obsessed with you, Laurie. What are you talking about? It's a very back-to-basics approach to Michael here, and it's executed in a very good way. The rest of the characters get fucked as a result. That's why it's a flawed movie. Because the rest of the characters don't get any character work. And it's well, why is that? Why is that? What is another reason that the character work is for the other characters is sketchy? Why is the pacing so bad? I'm going to say this now that we have the whole trilogy. I didn't say that when it came out. I was hesitant about it when I heard what they were doing. I was hesitant about it, but I let it go because I wanted to see where they would take ends. Obviously, the direction they chose to take ends was in the toilet. That's where they chose to take ends. They chose to take ends on the toilet. Ends as a fucking dump, obviously. So now that we have the whole trilogy, I can now say that taking place on the same night as 2018 was a mistake. They should not have done it. And well, again, there's a lot of reasons for that. But one of those reasons is that the character work, we don't get any character work. The pacing is still, it's still up here. Like, it doesn't want to let go of the momentum that 2018 had. Like, 2018 was started at 0, ended at 100. This movie starts at like an 80, and then keeps you at an 80, until the end. It gets back up to 100, and then ends at 100, kind of like 2018 kind of did, right? That's where this movie goes. There's no rest period, if you will. There's no rest. Like, there isn't any rest period. So, like, while Karen reacts to Ray's death and she finds Allison and she comforts her about Ray's death, that's all you get. The movie simply doesn't have time to do that. It doesn't have time to do the character work. And honestly, do you want it to do it? Because we're in a sketchy place. We're in a sketchy place involving the character work. But again, we could have done it. There could have been a lot of, like, Laurie could be living at their house now. They're both, because she's family, but at the same time, there's a lot of unspoken resentment that maybe Allison has. Like, that could be where you take Allison. Maybe Karen's a little bit more forgiving. I don't know. But you could take Allison, because Allison was the one who was trying to reach out to her in 2018. But given that Allison was like Karen could be all like, oh, Laurie was right. Myers was coming for her the whole fucking time. So maybe Karen's a little more lenient. It's like, yeah, Ray died, but at the same time, Laurie was right the entire time about everything. So I'm giving her a little bit of a break, while Allison's the one who's not giving her a break and shit. Like, you could have done something like that. They could have had that dynamic play out there, you know? Like a year later. Obviously, it would be a year. But, you know, but it's like that. But that were like, again, we'll talk about more of why this is an issue later. But just the movie doesn't have a breaking point, if you will. We then basically, so there's no time to really flesh out all of that out. Is what I mean to say. There was my first reason that it shouldn't take place on the same night. There's just not enough time for the characters to have gotten over the events of the last movie to where they are different and worth focusing on again. And there's just also still too much happening to where the movie can't slow the fuck down. But anyway, okay. We then get this older couple, and the lady says that's Laurie Strode's house on fire. Right, so maybe she's the one who called the fire fucking department. But they're flying a drone around their house. I've had enough of fucking drones lately, everyone. I've had enough of fucking drones lately. Fucking DC princess merchant can go straight to hell. But the drone then bumps into, like, their bathroom door, and then the bathroom door, like, doesn't shut or something, so they know something's in there. The guy goes in, he flicks on the light. Of course, Myers is in there, who immediately breaks it, okay? And then, like, the guy's like, call the cops! And then Myers, like, gets out of the house or something, and then he breaks the glass, kind of like he broke the glass to Laurie's door, and then we get to see what he was trying to do to Laurie in 2018. The way he picks the guy up and slams him like he slammed Laurie in 2018. And then Myers has like a moveset. He picks him up, slams him, and then he pulls him through the window. Like, that is clearly the maneuver. That was clearly the maneuver he was going for in the 2018 movie before Laurie shot his fucking hand off. So, good stuff there. It was good to see what he was trying to do there. Okay? So then, here's the part where it's you have to study these scenes, okay? Because if you're watching a Jason movie, Jason's like, oh, he shot the bitch in the face with the gun. He shot her with the spear gun. Or it's like, oh, the guy was doing a handstand and Jason came in and whacked him. He grabbed his head and it's eye. He hit him with the sleeping bag. Jason's kills are flashy, but like that's all they're meant to be. Jason's brute, over the top. Like, we know Jason. Like, that's what Jason is. Myers, there's a lot of nuance in these scenes. There is a lot of fucking nuance in the scenes that give you an insight to how his brain functions and how he works in these moments. Okay? There's a lot, like, Myers' kills in this movie is more about what he does and his functionality when he goes to work. Okay? You get to see Myers in these more intimate kind of moments, which this is a big one right here. Okay, so basically the structure of this scene is that Myers now knows that, like, he's just kind of following her, right? He's following her through her house after she has killed. The husband's like dying, but she goes over to the. He's just following her. Okay, it's like he's just staring at her. He's almost studying her. This is what I really like this scene. He's almost studying her. She goes to the door, okay? And it's like, she could leave, but like, I think I read the fact that she didn't leave because she knew that he would have caught up with her. And so she thought it would just be better to like be armed and stuff. But like, I think when she picks up the knife, like Myers is just staring at her. Like, he's not moving much while she is. He's just standing in her doorway, just kind of looking at her. And she picks up the knife, okay? And what I think happens here, okay, is she likely experiences what's called a freeze. Have y'all ever heard of a freeze? Google it, okay? I've had a freeze before, and I don't want to talk about it, but it's like, but a freeze is, it's basically, and again, I don't want to say the word freeze as an excuse for bad blocking. But I'm going to say it here because I genuinely think that's what this was, okay? Because of what Myers does, okay? You could just say it was bad blocking. She just sits there but I think like she was in a violent situation and and then she froze up. This is a response to violent situations. Some people freeze up, okay? And when she was just standing there, what Myers does next is he goes over to her cabinet. He doesn't go to her, he goes to the cabinet. What I think happened there was Myers identified that she froze. Myers identified the freeze. Myers has an understanding of psychology enough to where he identified her reaction to the violence was a freeze. Okay? That's what I think was going on there. Maybe I'm right, maybe it's just bad blocking, but this is what I think was going on. She experienced a freeze. Myers understood that, so he knew he could just kind of do whatever he wanted. She was freezing up. He went over, he grabs the light tube, okay? He smashes the light tube on the counter like he's in a fucking Nick Gage fucking death match. For that's a reference right there. He's in a Nick Gage death match, and then he sticks the light tube in her throat and then twists it, and he's just kind of staring at her while he does it. Don't tell me she's alive and ends. Absolutely go fuck yourself. She's dead. But whatever. He sticks the light tube in her, she twists it. Ends is a bad movie. Fuck Ends. But, okay, so here's what happens. So, like, she's leaning up against the thing after Myers has been stabbed her and twisted a light tube in her throat. But again, yeah, she's totally alive and ends. Who called the fucking ambulance to fucking save her? Never mind. But, so, basically, as she's dying, okay, don't give me she's in Ends. I don't care that she's in Ends. She's dead. Ends is a bad movie. This is great. So, she's dying. Myers drags the husband, who basically is dead as soon as he drags him. He slumps him on the counter. Okay, you hear the thud, and I think he dies when he hits the counter. Okay, because he's still kind of screaming until that. So Myers, there's now a corpse on the counter, and the husband is dead, and the wife is watching this. Okay, Myers then takes their knife collection. Like, he takes out their stash of knives, and he picks one up, and then he stabs the guy, and then, like, the guy's already dead, Myers just stabs him. This is a moment where we see him actually decorating. This is the only time in the entire franchise where we have seen Myers do this. This is an intimate moment for Myers. Other characters' intimate moments may be with their this is an intimate character moment for Michael Myers. This is intimate. This is him doing his thing. He's by it. Like this is a moment you do not usually see. Okay? And you kind of see how his brain works when he's doing it. He picks up a knife, okay? After he picks up the knife, there is a delay. Like this, he's not doing this in an animalistic or deranged way. It's precise. There is a slight delay between the stab and the pickup of the knife. Okay? There's a slight delay. This is why James Jude Courtney is the best Myers ever, lads. I'm sorry, Nick Castle. I'm sorry. I really think James Jude Courtney's the best. He just understands it. He just understands everything. But so he picks up the knife, slight delay, stab. And the reason the reason there's the delay is there is because Myers is locating the best possible aesthetic point to do it. Myers cares about the aesthetic of his art. This is an art project. Okay? It's an art project. He cares about what it looks like. He wants it to be discovered in the worst, most grisly way possible. I could stab him here, but I want to stab him here. There's not a knife over here. It's got to be symmetrical. Myers has OCD, as it turns out, guys. He's carefully observing where he's stabbing in order to make the best possible scene for the people that are going to find it. You know what I'm saying? That's what he's always done, and we get to see him kind of do it in the moment this time. And we see he wants that. He relishes in creating those moments for the people that are gonna find it. He's thinking about what he's doing. Where could I put him? I can put him over here, stab him here, 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 here. It's an intricate, thought out process that he has. And of course, you don't see the ins and out of that process. You just see you just see what's happening on the outside. We don't know why. We don't know why he chooses to put the guy there. You don't know his exact methods. You just know what he's doing. Right? Again, that's the character stuff right there with Myers that you get in this movie that you don't get in the other ones. Right? So, there you go. There you go, lads. Very, very good scene. One of the best scenes in the entire franchise is that. Because you get to see Myers go to work like that. So, basically, after that scene, Cameron calls Lonnie, who's still at the bar, and says he needs a ride, okay? So, basically, that happens. They start finding the shit, right? The sheriff then finds the jack-o'-lantern cops and the firefighters, and it's like, okay, deploy the units, let everybody know what the fuck's going on. So the news then alerts of everybody of the murders, and then you see Julian Ryan on the news. Julian's on the news, okay? And you realize at this point, if you've seen it 5 times like I have, you realize at this point that Allison does not have one reaction to her friends dying. She doesn't react to Vicky or David dying one time in the trilogy. Fucking Annie and Linda got a nod from Laurie in Halloween Ends. But Dave and Vicky, they get nothing from Allison. So, see, they definitely could have handled Allison a little bit better. That's a common theme in the whole fucking trilogy, especially in Ends. Holy fuck. But, so, there you go. Do what you will with that. So basically, Tommy is the one that decides that it's basically Myers, okay? When they're all watching the news. So the doctor lady kind of gets in the car, the doctor gets in the car, and then the car is all foggy and stuff, okay? And the penguin guy is in the guy who doesn't like if your shoelaces are untied. In the first one, he was the guy with the umbrella standing in the checkerboard field in the opening. He was one of the people on the bus getting transferred to Glass Hill, and he's out too. He's one of the only inmates. He's the only other inmate that's out. Okay, the Penguin. I'm just gonna call him the Penguin from here on out. So the penguin guy is in the back, and she thinks it's Myers, okay? So here is where we get Tommy's first big moment of the movie. He immediately gets some sort of hero complex, and I wish they went into his psyche even just a little bit more, about why he obviously Tommy's obsessed with Myers. Even the one in Halloween 6, he had that obsession with Myers. That's certainly a believable part of his character. But I wanted to know a bit more about it in this iteration. And he has such a hero complex that I wanted to see expanded a bit more than it was, other than the fact that it's there. Because that's all you really know about it. But basically, Tommy's hero complex kicks in. He grabs the old Hamilton bat from the guy. And by the way, here's where you get your first Evil Dies Tonight, which will be coming. Marion says Evil Dies Tonight for the first time. And then, so Tommy goes over to this person he just met's car, and he starts smashing the fucking windows and makes the penguin fucking crash. Okay? And you kind of know it's not Michael already. They show you it's not Michael, as soon as the scene is about to be over. But you know it's not Michael due to his positioning of the last sequence, which we know is still by Laurie's compound because of what those guys say in that scene. And the fact that the guy drives like total shit. Myers could drive. This guy can't, so you know it's not him. That's all you need to know. It's not him. So basically, you know it's not him. So it shows, and then the scene ends with Tommy's like, I want to look Michael in the eye and say, night, night. That's the scene. And then, here we go, lads. Here comes the rosy hot take. I know this one's going to be spicy. This one's going to be really spicy. We are then introduced to absolute cringe incarnate. I am just going to be blunt. I'm just going to be blunt here. I do not like Big John and Little John. Sorry. I know. They're one of the aspects of this movie that even the people that don't like it say was good. Big John and Little John. The gay couple that lives in the Myers house. I don't like them. Okay? And it's got nothing to do with the fact they're gay. Okay? It's not it. That's not it. In fact, the way that they die is actually the best part about them. And what Myers does with the gay couple after they're dead, that's really good. Okay? That's really good. So it's not that. And if they were a straight couple, I wouldn't like them either. The way that they come across is just not me. I don't like I'm not going to say they weren't portrayed well. I'm not going to say they weren't acted well. The two dudes that played the parts did good with what they were given. They played the characters well. They played what they were told to play. Okay? The characters that they played were cringy. I did not like their humor. I did not like their jokes. I just their humor is not my humor. I did not like it. Okay? They were acted well. The way that they go is good. It's just, I do not like the way, I don't like that they are not my people in any, I'm probably not their person, right? That's just, they come off cross with the most normie humor. Let's get high. I'm not a druggie. I'm not a big drug person, lads. They're not that. They just have that style that is not my style. So I did not like them. It's literally just that. The humor's not there for me. The stuff that most, they're not me. That's not what I like. That's not, I'm somebody that values the darkest of dark humor. That kind of normie dialogue, that normie humor is just, I don't like it. Sorry. I just don't I would hate them no matter what. But basically, anyway, a trick-or-treat group, with the Halloween 3 masks, they basically play a trick on them and steal their candy, okay? And they're they grab the kids and they don't grab them, but they're all have you ever heard, you know whose house this is? You ever heard of Michael fucking Myers? Right? I think that's what they say. That whole sequence, I just thought that sequence where they were scaring the kids was very poorly written. Didn't care for it. Didn't care for it, lad. I didn't care for that shit. But anyway, back to the important stuff. Hawkins is wheeled into the hospital. She's looking at Sartain's body, but Allison's there. Okay, Allison is then interviewed by a cop who I can't confirm this, but the cop that she's interviewed by may be her ex in Halloween Ends. I can't tell. I've only watched Ends once. Fuck that movie. But I can't exactly tell. But it's at this point you get the conflicting views between Allison and Karen. They get the conflicting stories where Allison knows that Sartain was the one that took Myers to Laurie, whereas Karen is now on Laurie's side, where Michael is obsessed with her and he's coming to the hospital. But the scene ends with both of them being told that Myers is alive, which causes Allison to go into a fucking frantic rage. And basically, Cameron shows up to the hospital and recruits Allison to kind of join up with Tommy's little gangster mob, okay? The Tommy Doyle's little gangster mob that she's forming, and then Karen is there. This scene's honestly weird because Cameron just disappears like halfway through it. Another blocking issue. Cameron's just in the scene and then he isn't. Like, it's the weirdest thing ever. He's there and then all of a sudden he's not there anymore. It's some Twilight blocking shit where kind of Edward just like is talking to Belle and then he just leaves. Has anybody ever seen Twilight? It's really bad. But anyway, so yeah, Cameron's just in the scene, but then he isn't. But here comes a big issue, though. Okay, basically the fight is that Cameron is trying to recruit Allison to go be in the mob, and Allison wants to go be in the mob, and then Karen doesn't want Allison to be in the mob. Okay, Cameron says that Myers has haunted his family for like 40 years or something, and then Allison later on says the exact same thing. Like, she pumps a shotgun when she sneaks out in a couple minutes, and then she's like, Michael Myers has haunted this town for 40 years, or whatever she says, something like that. Here's the problem, lads. All this dialogue and the mob's existence and this dialogue, all of this crap implies some kind of deeper town-wide hatred and fear of Michael Myers, okay? This is something that the last movie did not say was a thing. The last movie downplayed it. Does anybody remember that? The last movie downplayed Michael Myers significantly. 40 years, he's been locked in for 40 years. He hasn't been out of the Smiths Grove in 40 years. The true crime podcasters specialized in taking older cases that people didn't care much for and shedding new light on them. That's why they win awards. They look at old cases, old kind of forgotten cases, and bring them back up. David's dialogue in particular really discredited Myers when he said that one guy killing people with a knife is not that big of a deal in the confines of today's world. Okay? The world building of 2018 showed you that everybody had moved on and Laurie didn't. And the fact that Laurie wasn't moving on was causing her to lose her family and the rest of the world because the rest of the world had. Okay? The last movie was about isolation. A big part of Laurie's character was isolation and how her trauma was affecting a family that didn't care and that forgot. 2018's world building did not give you the pieces on the board in the places they needed to be to justify the existence of a mob that was after Michael Myers. That's the problem. That is the problem. The pieces were not yet on the board where the writers wanted them to be. Okay? So their solution to that was to simply ignore that fact and do it anyway. They just said, okay, yeah, they are. Just Tommy's there. Tommy's someone you could buy as someone who's also obsessed with Myers. Give Lonnie a new backstory to where he's been haunted for 40 years. He's Cameron's dad, so now our main characters are now kind of haunted by Myers. like Brackett's there. He's the former sheriff. He can incite the mob too to get everybody to lose faith in the police department. The bodies can start racking up at the hospital. And like, you know what I'm saying? The pieces were not where they needed to be for the mob to exist organically, so they forced it. They forced it. This is the issue with the mob storyline. Not the fact that it exists. That's not the problem. The problem is that the groundwork and the world building were not there for you to organically earn this storyline. Okay? And why is that? What's the problem there? Why didn't they earn it? Because think about the time. Think about the setting. Where are we? We are on the same night as 2018. This is the problem. This is the issue. Think about the insane amount of differences between Rob Zombie's Halloween 1 and 2. Think about the different Laurie, the different Annie, the different Brackett, the different Loomis. Think of, like, those are the four major characters that survived, right? The only one that didn't change was Myers. Think about those four characters and how they were significantly changed by the events of the first Rob Zombie movie. Okay, what did Zombie give you? And again, I'm not saying Zombie is some kind of genius for doing this. This is very basic. He gave you a fucking time skip. He gave you a 2-year time gap in the superior version of the movie, which is the director's cut. The theatrical cut is a 1-year time jump. The director's cut is a 2-year time jump. The pieces were not on board for where Rob Zombie wanted to go. Well, I mean, in some aspects, obviously turning Haddonfield into white trash was just a decision that he made. But he got his characters organically where he wanted them. You want Loomis, you want Laurie to be a traumatized fucking nutcase? Give her something to be traumatized about in the 2007 movie. So he did. You want Annie to be a fucking recluse that never leaves the house and is distant from Laurie and the rest of the world? Give her a reason. Myers fucking brutalized her. You want to give Loomis a reason to be a dick? Near-death experience combined with a certain amount of arrogance for putting up with Myers' shit. Like, you want to make all these changes, give them justifiable, organic reasons for them to show up. But Zombie gave that to you in Halloween 2/09. Every reason, every character's changes were all completely justifiable through that character's worldview. And you can see why they organically became what they did. You can see why they organically did it. Okay? In this movie, due to the fact that there is no time skip, they did not earn this mob. They didn't earn it. It's just there because it's there now. However, if you had given a 1-year time skip, here, combined with Myers' absolute massacre of the previous year, and then just say he's still out there or something, right? If he's still out there, and then you talk about in your first act, number one, the pacing of the movie would be better. And number two, you could explore in the first act the changes of Haddonfield due to the events of the previous year's fucking massacre. How Myers is now at the forefront of the town again. Right? You'd be able to expand upon that fallout. And the expansion of the fallout combined with the maybe no one's allowed to walk alone. Maybe there's a curfew in the town. People aren't allowed to walk alone. You have to travel in groups of 3. Like something like that. New rules, new things that show you the town's fear of Myers. And basically, how when the killings start back up again, it is very easy to see how the people lose faith in the police system, and then the mob starts that way. That is the organic way you could have done it. However, keeping it on the same night was an absolute mistake that kills this storyline that they do anyway, and thus it is inorganic and not believable. That's the issue. That's the issue, lads. That's the problem with this entire storyline. Doesn't make sense. Because of that thing. The world building wasn't there. And they just told you it was. No, it wasn't. The reason that 2018 was set up the way it was to contrast Laurie with the world around her. Okay? If that's not where you want to take it anymore, fine. Don't have it be on the same night as where you said it was. Distance it. Use some time to distance it. You can keep the stuff of Myers fucking coming out of the house and stuff, showing us how he got out and all that. You can keep all that. That's fine. Maybe have some stuff of Tommy Doyle on 20. Like, you can keep some stuff. Just fucking give us, make sure you reestablish your groundwork here. Because there was enough grounds in 2018's Massacre about how Myers was able to walk from point A to point B, walk into this person's house, and then into this person's house, and just kill them. There was enough groundwork there to actually create that fear and that mob mentality. Not in 5 hours. Not in 5 hours, bro. Not in 5 hours where you just told me in the last movie nobody fucking cares about this anymore. You spent 2 hours telling me in the last movie nobody cares about this man anymore. Nor should they. Nor should they. If you were a citizen of Haddonfield, a series of murders from 40 years ago shouldn't bother you. That was a more realistic sequence and realistic setup than some of the other Halloween movies. It was. However, now that we've had a more recent string, then they think, like, you know what I'm saying? To go on and on about that at this point would be fucking, like, that would be redundant. No need to keep going on about that. But that's another reason that setting it on the same night was an absolute mistake. And we talked about that, the fear, and then basically another thing this distance would do, you slow the pace down, and you would create like a town that you could show like how they start living with this fear, where it's like it's such a normalized part of their lives now to like have this fear of somebody, and then they start fearing the everyman, they fear their neighbor and all that stuff. They you know what I'm saying? They could give you that grounds to have an overly paranoid setting, okay? Which that fear of Myers, if you really wanted to do this, if you really, really, really want to do this, if you are going to ask me, lads, I've already told you the way to fix the Corey Cunningham storyline. I've told you that in my 2018 review. The best way to fix it would be to combine Corey and Dr. Sartain into a new character to give you a fucking fleshed out twist with that doctor and get rid of the Corey storyline. However, another way, if that's not what you want to do, another way to fix that would be to fix the damn setting, fix the pacing. If you were to slow down the pacing of kills a little bit, this is the interesting about trilogies. There's usually multiple ways to fix it. If you are so adamant about those Corey Cunningham plotline for ends, where Corey is like becoming the new Myers, like the town start, like the stuff in ends where the bitch is like, your boogeyman left, so they needed a new one. Like when Corey's mom says that to Lori, your boogeyman left, the town needed a new one. Like if you wanted to explore that kind of idea about the overly paranoid beginning to fear everything and everyone because of Myers' influence, you have to start planting those seeds here. And like stopping it from being on the same night, introduce Corey in this movie. Have him be just another guy. You see how he's nice. You see this. You see that. That way, you don't have to rush in ends, and you also don't need to take 30 fucking minutes out of my goddamn life to give me some of the worst character work in motion picture history for the first 40 minutes of Halloween Ends. Okay? They had to force for 30 minutes of awful character work because they're shoehorning Corey into the trilogy. However, if you put kills a year later, it gives you time to start setting those seeds up for a less rushed Corey Cunningham storyline for ends. If that's what you really want to do. Okay? Obviously, the correct play with the Corey Cunningham storyline is to fucking toss it off of a fucking bridge. Okay? And then watch it die of blunt force trauma when it hits the water. That's what you do with the Corey Cunningham storyline. Or that you get rid of it. It's fucking awful. The character shouldn't be in the trilogy. Make him Dr. Sartain. And then obviously Myers is still your main villain and ends. Right? Combine the two storylines. That's the way to fix it. However, if you're so adamant about keeping the motherfucker, that's what you do. That's another play that you have to kind of fix the pacing of that storyline. give it more room to breathe, and balance Myers more with it by starting it here, right? That's another way to do it, if you really want to do that. But again, the correct play is to take it out back and shoot it. But that's another suggestion. But moving on with kills, anyway. Where are we? Okay, so moving on with kills. Allison's told to go wait with Lori by Karen. And basically, that doesn't last too long because Allison leaves Lori a knife and then sneaks out. And we talked about that shit with how she says Michael Myers has haunted the town for 40 years. Okay? Basically, Tommy starts, like, leading the charge here. And again, I really wanted to, like, know more about, like, how he's able to lead the troops and his psyche and stuff. I wanted just a little bit more of him. Not a whole lot to where you're taking up 40 minutes of screen time, but just, like, maybe Tommy was so obsessed with, like, becoming, like, a stronger person after. So, like, maybe part of his life was he went and joined the military. There you go. That's how I thought I would fix it. Tommy joins the military, and then maybe he's, like, I don't want to say, like, maybe he got higher, maybe he became a general or something, and it's like he's 50 now, he kind of retired from doing that, but like he had that hero complex, he went and served in the army, maybe he's seen some shit overseas, and so when Myers gets back into town, he's so eager to, like, get back into that warlike mentality, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just wish his hero complex was just a bit more expanded upon than just simply being there. But I mean, I guess he'd be a little less in over his head then, but, like, the whole mob mentality thing being in over your head, that shit's kind of a nod to Halloween 4, I guess. I don't know when else I'm going to say that. I'm just going to say it now. But whatever. So basically what happens next is those dirtbag kids that stole candy from Big John and Little John, they're on swings, okay? Here comes Lindsay's big scene of the movie, okay? Lindsay goes up to them and then tells them to get the fuck out, right? And these kids act. They act. They're really good at it. Basically, they say, my Mike Mask is playing hide and seek with us or something. So, of course, Myers is just there and he's holding their friend's decapitated head, which is nice. That's really good. But, I mean, it's in the Halloween 3 season of the Witch Mask. But it's there. It's good. So, basically, Lindsay shoos him off. Okay, and then Myers goes over to, he's standing by the car, right? The car, the doctor's in there, the nurse is in there, and so is Marion, okay? Marion's in there. I'm just going to tell you what happens, and then we'll talk about it. So, he's in the thing, he jumps on the car the same way he did in 78. I don't know if he knows Marion's in there or not, but he throws the decapitated head at the door, and then Marion panics and shoots the gun, breaking the glass, and she starts shooting around. She starts shooting all over the car, breaking all the glass, looking for him, okay? So basically, after the glass gets broken, the nurse tells his doctor wife to just get out of the car, and she has the other gun, okay? So the doctor wife then slides out of the windows, okay? And then before the other guy can get out, Myers blocks the door. Okay, he blocks the door, and then Marion holds the gun, and she's like, "This is for Dr. Loomis," a line which is kind of cringe, by the way. But she shoots, and then nothing comes out. Myers just kind of stands there. He's like, "You fucking what, mate?" So then he takes Marion out, he kills her, stabs her, and then he stabs the nurse in the eye. Okay, so then the doctor comes back and starts shooting at him. Okay, Myers kicks the door, knocking the gun back, making her shoot herself in the head. And that's that entire sequence. Okay? The kill at the end was good. When Myers kicks the door, makes her shoot herself in the head, that was a good kill. Okay? This is another scene, however, where the blocking is really fucking bad. Like, you can't ignore how bad the blocking is. You just can't do it. It's blocking. Like, okay, so, like, the doctor, like, the doctor girl gets out of the car through the window, and then Myers blocks him, okay? So why doesn't she start shooting at him the second he starts trying to kill Marion and the husband? Like, why does she go away, wait for them to die, and then come back and start shooting at them? It's an undeniable thing that you can't, you have to ask what the fuck is going on there. It's bad blocking. It's bad scene construction and bad blocking, okay? And again, this, like, I'm not, like, these things, like we're sitting here talking about them, they can be corrected really fast. She gets out, Myers stabs her, makes her fall over, okay? That gives her enough time, that gives Myers enough time to go in and kill Marion and kill the husband, giving her enough time to then stand up and shoot at him again before he kicks the door and then makes her kill herself. All you need is a slight adjustment of Myers capitalizing on the fact that the doctor got out of the car and then stab her to incapacitate her for a few seconds to then go do what he needs to do and then finish it off with the same car kill. You just needed a slight alteration in your blocking to completely fix the scene. That's all you needed. A very, very tiny detail like that would completely fix the scene's overall construction and give people less things to bitch about when they talk about this movie. Because again, this is all like more minor stuff. Again, Myers they get right in this. It's just if you would fix that blocking, you would give people less to bitch about. Okay? And then this is like, again, kind of just people waiting to die. Okay? Similar thing with Lindsay here. Lindsay then all of a sudden shows up and starts smacking them with bricks as soon as everybody's dead. She has her trick-or-treat bag with bricks in it. Hey, that was nice of you, Lindsay. Way to show up when everyone's fucking dead. Like, just have these brief instances of them rushing Myers, like, because, like, Tommy's inspired them to act like idiots. Sure, I'll give you that. Tommy's inspired them to act overly aggressive. Sure. So, Lindsay, he knocks over the one person. Like, her gun's jammed. So, like, the Marion's gun jams. Then the doctor tries to shoot at him. Myers stabs her. Then Lindsay comes over with the bricks. She gets fucking smacked. And, like, right? You adjust the blocking so Myers can, you have to make everybody look semi-competent. But again, never mind. Lindsay's here hitting them with bricks. Myers slams her against the car. And then she, like, adjusts his mask and then making him release her. She runs through the woods. Myers follows her. She hides behind a tree and Myers gives up and leaves. So there you go. That's that whole sequence. The scene with Lindsay being chased through the woods is actually good. There are no issues there. Lindsay's entire sequence by itself in a vacuum is fine. It's just Lindsay also was a part of the bad blocking that entire car sequence. That just needed a slight alteration. Lindsay's stuff was all fine though. That didn't need any changes. So there you go. After that, Lori wakes up and Karen's in the room and she realizes Allison's gone, but Karen's concealing all this information from Lori because she doesn't want Lori to know Myers is alive and then immediately start freaking out. But Lori, when she wakes up, the first thing she says is that Michael's gone, we won, we got him. And then Karen's like, yeah, we did. She lies to her. But is that really Lori's reaction? Think about her reaction to the fucking fire trucks. Like, she's fucking screeching at the fire trucks to fucking, it feels to me like Lori, when she wakes up, the very first thing she should be asking is he fucking dead? I know they wanted, the trailers to have Lori screaming at the fire department. You could have just had that be for trailers. You didn't really need that in this movie. Lori should have already been passed out in the back when the fire trucks went. And you have Karen and Allison reacting to the fire trucks. Lori should not have seen the fire trucks. Because she saw the fire trucks, her reaction when she wakes up is completely not believable. It's not what it should be. She should be asking, did they put the fucking fire out? Right? That's, you can't, after the entire last movie, you can't fucking tell me that was Lori's reaction. We got him. Lori would want to follow through upon Myers being dead. Another reason why her portrayal in Ends is so fucking disrespectful. Because Lori, this version of Lori will not rest until Myers is dead. Especially if he's out. She could live with herself if he's behind bars, but if he's out, she's all over his ass. That's her entire character. So to fucking pull back on that in Ends is absolutely ridiculous. I'm getting ahead of myself. I really don't want to watch Ends again, guys. But anyway. So basically, Lonnie, Allison, and Tommy find Lindsay. They find that whole thing. They find that, and then after Myers gave up on Lindsay, he came back and decorated the sequence. He put everybody in the Halloween 3 mask, strung Marion up on the swing set, and then put the doctor and the nurse on the carousel and spun it a little bit. So there you go there. There you go there. And then they find Lindsay and she's alive. Okay? Hawkins is wheeled into Laurie's room, and they have a conversation about some night at some bar that you didn't see, but whatever. The important part about this scene is they bring up that sexy man meat, Ben Tramer. Ooh, Ben Tramer, the fan favorite. Ben Tramer, the sexiest man alive. Oh, that's funny. Ben Tramer, bro. Oh, God. But Laurie tells him that they killed Michael, okay? Brackett's basically on the sheriff's ass about needing to kill Michael. Oscar, the incel's mom, comes in the hospital, as does Tommy, okay? Tommy starts inciting the town folk, much to the dismay of the sheriff, okay? He then breaks into Laurie's room, and then now Laurie knows Myers is alive. So this of course, sends Laurie into absolute freak-out mode. And then Karen starts talking about how there's a system that deals with all this, and then Laurie says the system failed. Now get the fuck out of my way. A line that liberals everywhere probably really liked. Honestly, I'm talking about. I mean, there's no way to talk about this without talking about this stuff. This movie about mob mentality came out a year after the George Floyd riots. I mean, for a very liberal person that Jamie Lee is, this is a very conservative movie. The dangers of the mob mentality stuff. That was a very, I guess the January 6th crowd were a riot too, kind of, sort of. So I mean, so there's not really one side that's to blame for any rioting, but just mob mentality is a dangerous thing. But I don't care about that in my Halloween movie, but that's beside the point. So basically, Laurie then starts, you can't make this shit up, dude. She starts saying all the lines that were in the Halloween Ends trailer. Yeah, let me say that again. She starts saying all the lines in the Halloween Ends trailer. Maybe the only way he can die is if I die too. That's the one I remember most vividly. She says other ones, but she starts saying Halloween Ends lines because that movie's a piece of shit with no substance, so they have to steal lines from kills to put in the Halloween Ends trailer. It's that terrible, guys. It's that terrible. They knew that they created such hot garbage in Halloween Ends. They literally didn't have enough Laurie Michael stuff to fill the fucking trailer. They had to steal lines from this movie to put in the fucking Halloween Ends trailer. Fucking awful, dude. And the Halloween Ends trailer was a minute long? That trailer was nothing. A minute. 1 minute. Oh, God. Fuck Halloween Ends, bro. Basically, Big John and Little John they're watching shit when they start hearing knocks at their doors, okay? They assume it's the same kids, and so they screech about whose house is this? Cringe. Myers basically then sneaks in through the back, okay? And then I didn't like this either. Once the horror started, they kept calling each other Big John and Little John. I get both of their names are John, and then the joke is that Big John is small and that Little John is big. I get that. That's the joke. Also, Johns are penises. You get it, guys? Do you get it? Or maybe that means, or maybe Big John is the smaller one, but he has the bigger dick, so they call him Big John. See, that's the kind of gay humor I don't like it. But they keep it up, even when there's fucking Myers is in the house. I don't like that. They to call each other nicknames, and again, you might be thinking I'm nitpicking here, but to call each other nicknames when Myers is in the house demeans his power. It demeans his presence because it's a normal situation. To call each other pet names when Myers is in the house takes away from the seriousness of the situation, and I didn't like it. It doesn't matter if there's 2 schlongs, 2 vaginas, or 1 dong and 1 vagina. To call each other pet names when Michael Myers is in your house takes away from the seriousness of the situation. I didn't like it. Shoot me. But basically, they basically are starting to move through their house, okay? Now, as they're doing this, the worst part of the movie then starts, okay? The Penguin gets to the hospital. This is the absolute worst part of the movie, okay? Terrible. This part is awful. He gets to the hospital, and then people start noticing him, okay? but he starts like banging on the door, and he's asking for help. He starts asking for help. He may be behind glass to some people, but he is fully audible even when they transition over to the fucking other people behind the glass. You hear him clearly ask for help before the mob starts getting riled up. You clearly hear it. Okay? And here's when the evil dies tonight chants get really dumb. They all start chanting it like they're fucking crazy. There's no basis for the chant to even start. Like, I don't get why they chose the phrase evil dies tonight. I don't get it. Evil dies tonight. Like, why did they do that? If that was something like, if that was like like, I don't know. This is all spitballing, but like, pretend like they're voting on a new mayor, or or don't people vote for the sheriff? Isn't that a thing? I don't fucking know. But like the next mayor of Haddonfield, like they could but their tagline could be like "Evil dies" or something. Let's make evil die, or like something like that, to where there's an actual foundational basis for them to chant "Evil dies tonight." But there's no reason for them to chant that. It's not an organic thing. I don't really see evil dies tonight ever being a thing people chant in the real world. It doesn't sound realistic. It's not really a realistic chant. Also, how is the fucking penguin lookalike being mistaken for the 6'5" Michael Myers again? How tall is Michael? 6 foot something? How is this fat penguin lookalike being mistaken for the 6'3" Michael Myers? Especially by Laurie and Karen, who should know what he fucking looks like by now. At least know his stature and physical presence. Which, I mean, they figure it out really quick, but even Laurie calls him Michael. Like, Laurie and Karen both initially believe it's Michael. They may be the first to fucking figure it out, but they think it's him at first too. So I don't really get that. So Big John and Little John are still at their house while this is all going on. Myers then stabs Big John in the fucking armpit, and then he gouges his eyes out, okay? And then Lil John comes in, okay? Lil John comes in, his fucking lover's on the fucking ground dead. Myers is staring out the window. He looks phenomenal in the shot, by the way. When Myers does the slow turn and he stares at Lil John as he's turning around, that's really good. But Lil John kills the whole scene when he says, "Michael, you've come home," instead of anything that's actually realistic. "Michael, you come home." That's what he says. After Myers, he doesn't scream it or anything. He just says, "Michael, you've come home," after seeing Myers, after Myers has fucking gouged out Big John's eyes. That's not a real reaction. Okay? I didn't like it. Shoot me. It's not realistic. I've complained about enough fucking crap in this movie for you to know that I'm not just bitching because they're gay. I've bitched about a lot of stuff and went into minute details. The minute details here, the logic of their death scene doesn't make sense. What Myers does after they've killed them is good. But I just found it all illogical. And it just didn't, the realism wasn't there in some places. Their humor fell flat. Nothing about it really worked for me. And again, this is a similar problem with the 2018 movie. We are at the same part where both movies were losing momentum. At this point in the 2018 movie, the Sartain shit was going on. It's odd that it's the same fucking part. So Laurie gets trampled by the mob as soon as they realize the penguin isn't Myers, Laurie gets trampled by the mob and incapacitated. Oscar the incel's mom sees Oscar the incel's dead body and screams, and that's all she does in the movie. The mob keeps following the penguin, and as the mob is doing their thing, Laurie refers to this situation as Michael's masterpiece and insinuates that he is creating all of this chaos at hand. Okay? He said, that's what's going on here. He's created all of this because he's responsible for, this is Michael's masterpiece. He's doing this to everybody. Okay? We've talked about this in the Halloween 209 review. I'm going to talk about it again here. When you talk about how Michael can change and destroy something, it's done much better in Halloween 209 because it's scaled back They scale it back, and the people that are destroyed are the ones that have direct conflict in a relationship with Michael Myers. Brackett may not have seen him, and Brackett changes the least, but, like, Laurie destroyed. Loomis destroyed. Annie destroyed. The three that had the actual interactions with Myers are completely changed and destroyed human beings. They've lost their personality to him. Laurie's in the process of losing her good nature to him. Loomis already lost his good nature to him. Annie lost her life and her personality to him. She lost her good spirit, and, like, she completely crushed by her encounter with Michael Myers. Okay? So, and they did that through the character work. Annie was neglected. Don't even tell me that in the comments. I already know. Annie was underdeveloped in Halloween 209, I know. But just the fact that you see how they were and how they became, you see all of that, and you watch Laurie and Annie's friendship crumble in the director's cut. This is why the director's cut is better. You watch their friendship suffer and die because of the encounter with Myers. Like, that is, it's much more personal and much more real. This right here feels exaggerated. It feels much more exaggerated due to its bigger scale and the fact that no one in the mob is a person. They're not realistic. They're just there to scream "Evil dies tonight" and run around the hospital. That's what they're there to do. And again, so I definitely prefer the approach in the 09. However, just because the Rob Zombie version is better, I will fight me. Just because the Rob Zombie version is better doesn't mean there isn't a correct way to show Michael's influence on a town-wide level. And we just talked about this earlier. We talked about this earlier. How it's fucking, there's an immense kind of, fucking problem with the fact that it's taking place on the same night. It's not organically happening due to the immense contrast in the themes and presentation of Haddonfield between the two movies that are supposedly set on the same night. Zombie used the time skip. This needed the time skip. You can see maybe Haddonfield, we just talked about this too, preparing for a new mayor campaign. And Myers is a hot topic at the campaign of citizens losing the faith in the system, blah, 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 blah. You need to establish the new groundwork. And we haven't talked about this yet, but another issue with this movie is that Laurie is not in it very much. Like, her entire thing is kind of put on hold so the other characters can do things. However, that really wasn't the right play. I don't know why they thought that Laurie needed to be in the bed the whole fucking movie. But if you take a year of distance, it gets Laurie and Hawkins more active in the story. I mean, Hawkins should just be dead, but I already bitched about that. But suspending your disbelief there, if you say that a year has passed, you get Laurie out of the fucking hospital bed and she can help be in the mob. She can do things. She can be in your movie more. And so can Hawkins. You get Hawkins back on the street actually doing something besides laying in a bed the whole movie. Right? Whatever. But we already talked about that. We already talked about how you could change the setting via a time skip to make the groundwork more in frame with the mob mentality, and thus also showing how they changed the town and all of its people that live in it. Okay? And again, we've already explained that. I'm not going to explain it again. If you want to hear that again, go back and hear that again. But just saying, this is another issue with it being set on the same night. Okay, but Hawkins says he could have made it all go away, but then they cut to like the rest of the flashback from 78, where Loomis is about to kill Myers, but Hawkins stops him, and Hawkins stops him because he was so upset about killing his partner that he wanted all the violence to immediately cease. Okay, that's why Hawkins kind of stopped Loomis from killing Myers in that moment. And then his superior saves his ass by like making up a story about how it was an accident. Okay? That's kind of what happened there. I'm trying to think about, I'm getting my scenes mixed up. No, that's definitely not it. So Karen somehow gets in front of the entire mob, and she finds Penguin, and she says she's going to help him out, but she then barricades him in this room. I don't really understand what that was supposed to do. So the mob kind of finds him, and then as the mob is like doing what, like they're breaking the door down and stuff, Tommy and Brackett both realize that it's not actually Myers, but nobody else does. So the idiots break in. Penguin gets a fire extinguisher, cracks the window because he saw the people with the oxygen tank cracking that glass. So he cracks the window, and then he commits before they can get him. He commits suicide. Okay? Tommy then goes down, and he's like, how do we know it? Like, Brackett's like, it's not him, Tommy. And then Tommy's like, well, how do we know it's not him? He's always worn a mask. Because you saw him on the news, you fucking idiot. At the beginning of the fucking movie, there was the news clip. You were sitting there watching it. They showed his face. They even had to blur it out, so we didn't see it. Remember that, Tommy? How do you, like, also, I don't buy that a character as obsessed with Michael Myers as Tommy Doyle is doesn't know what the hell he looks like. He would have had, like, I completely doubt that. Even if it's been 40 years, like, obviously, the guy that looks like a potato is not Myers. Obviously, Tommy. Obviously, he's not. Myers is not a short little potato man. You know that. Like, Myers isn't going to drop a foot tall in height in 40 years. It's just not going to happen. So, that was kind of stupid. Overall, that fucking social commentary angle was a complete waste of everybody's time because it's not about Michael. It doesn't matter. If you want, there are ways to put politics in your movies and not have it specifically be social commentary. When you're doing all this stuff, again, you can bullshit social commentary about fucking anything, okay? There's always ways to bullshit it and shoehorn it in. However, like look at the Star Wars prequels, for instance. The Star Wars prequels is like all about politics, but it's about the Star Wars politics. Now, obviously, you can look at the Star Wars and get political shit out of it. Like I just said, you can do that with fucking anything. But I've seen liberals and conservatives both try to hijack and weaponize the story of Star Wars. I like, seriously, both of them have tried to do it. You can make it sound like anything. But the way that you specifically make it not about something, one side or the other, is to make it about what it fucking is about. But they just didn't even do that. Like, it was just about mob mentality being bad. But, like, what is that doing in my Halloween movie? What is a social commentary about mob mentality doing in my movie where a guy in a mask runs around and kills people? Like, what's it doing there? What's it doing there? I don't know. Just focus on Myers, maybe? I don't know. So Hawkins tells Laurie the truth about Myers, and how he's not after her, and that Sartain was the one that fucking took him to the house. Okay? He then talks about how Myers used to look out the window. Okay? And while he's doing this, Karen, like, looks out of the window of the hospital, and Sartain's like, he may have been looking at his own reflection. Then you see Karen's reflection in the window. What this is conveying is that Karen has a slight curiosity about Myers' headspace. That's what's being conveyed to you there. And it makes sense for Karen to have neglected the topic for 40 years. Now that Myers has entered her life again, and her husband's dead, like, there's a slight curiosity about the man. That she has there's just a ever so slight curiosity about Myers' perspective, about how he sees the world, okay? But again, because his partner died at the same spot, you're not supposed to even try to do that. You don't, like, that's the point. It's a waste of time. And again, it's not about what they're telling you, it's about how they're doing it. Using the window as as a reflective of Myers' mind, how if you stand there, you die, right? If you try to get into that headspace, it's a metaphor for how it doesn't matter. Which, again, you already know that. It's just about how they're doing it. So, Karen and Tommy basically unite after this, and they leave the hospital just as Allison, Lonnie, and Cameron are arriving at the Myers house. Lonnie then realizes all of a sudden that this might be a little dangerous. No shit, buddy. So he leaves Cameron and Allison in the car and enters the house. Allison and Cameron just sit there, and then the gun goes off. So then they jump up and enter the house, okay? They look for Myers and they can't find him, and then they hear a record player playing a romance song. Big John and Lil John, this is the good part, They are positioned in the same way they are positioned in a nearby picture of them. Myers took the time to position and to recreate their photograph with their dead bodies. And that is absolutely fucking wonderful. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Because that's something Myers would do. He would absolutely 100% recreate somebody's photo with their bodies. That's how you know they understand him. They both added to the character. The writers added to Myers in this sequence. They added to him, gave him something new to do that he has not yet done. But also, you see what he did, and you go, yeah, that's something else. Yeah, they get it. These guys fucking get it. So, yeah, I really liked that. Mwah, absolutely gorgeous. Cameron goes into the hallway, and Lottie's blood drips on him from the ceiling. Myers then explodes from the closet, stabs Cameron. Unkillable starts playing. If you know Unkillable, mwah, it is my favorite song in the series outside of the theme, obviously. I like it better than The Shape Hunts Allison, I do. So Unkillable is playing as he fucking stabs Cameron. Allison tries to save his ass, but that doesn't work. Myers chucks her ass down the stairs and instantly breaks her leg. Okay? He then, he's just everywhere. He stomps on Cameron's hand, knocking the gun out of it, and then he slams him through, the staircase rims. Okay? Allison's staggering to her feet, okay? And she starts yelling at Myers to, leave Cameron, come get me, motherfucker. Okay? Myers, what he does next is gorgeous. Okay? He looks at Allison, instantly remembers her. There's no way he doesn't. Because if Myers wanted to somehow unify, he somehow unifies the death of Cameron with the emotional torture of his next victim, Allison, who he doesn't like. Because Allison set him on fire. Right? So he pretends to be goaded by Allison's request to come kill her. Okay? Unkillable's playing. Durr, 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 durr. It's so good. But so he walks down the stairs. We've talked about this scene a few times on my stream. And as he fucking gets to Cameron's head, he then turns and snaps his neck. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's so perfect, man. It's so perfect how Myers would pretend to fall for her trick and then turn and just kill the guy right there. Because for that 1 second, he gave her that 1 second of, I got it. I did it. Right? I saved him. He gave her that split second of, I did it, before, nah, you didn't get it, bitch. Oh, that's why, so good. So basically, he comes down, is about to kill Allison, and then Karen comes, stabs him with the pitchfork, okay? And Karen, after she takes the pitchfork, she takes his mask, okay? And we've talked about this before, too, about a big reason why, N's character assassinated Myers with the mask. We've talked about this before. The mask is a part of Michael Myers, as explained in the opening of 2018's movie. And when Laurie rips it off, he immediately stops trying to kill her to put it back on. You even saw it in this movie with Lindsay when it got slightly dislodged. He fucking dropped her. The mask is part of the man. It was not always a man because he's supernatural. But, so, as soon as Karen takes the mask, tunnel vision. He's got tunnel vision on Karen now, for all you Dead by Daylights. He's got tunnel vision on Karen. It doesn't matter that she's leading him to the most obvious trap in existence. She starts fucking running. The Halloween Kills version of the theme song is playing in the background. The choir and all that shit. So, this is the most obvious trap in the world. Everybody that's sitting in the theater right now knows it's a trap. Especially when the mask is literally planted on the fucking ground in the middle of the fucking road. But it's that's not the point. The point is it's an obvious trap, but Myers wants his mask back. That's the point. That's what you're being told there. Of course it was a trap. You know it's a trap. He knew it was a trap, but he wanted his mask because nothing else matters. The mask matters. The mask is what matters. So, basically, as soon as he gets into the road, the mob shows up, led by Tommy and Brackett, who then says his good scare line. Okay, he says his good scare line. Okay, Myers looks down, the music's playing, he looks down, and he looks around, analyzes the situation, puts the mask back on, and starts fighting with the mob. The mob has the upper hand initially, and they end up striking him down with various objects and knocks him to the ground. Okay, Tommy tells Karen to go be with Allison. Karen stabs Myers one more time. The scene cuts to Laurie, and then who's giving a monologue, which is the biggest middle finger to anybody who says he's not supernatural in this movie, or in Ends. Basically explaining that Myers is impossible to defeat, especially with brute force, yada, yada, yada. The more he kills, the more he transcends, and all that fucking shit. So Myers gets up, starts fucking butchering everybody, cuts Brackett's throat, stabs this person, slits this guy's throat, stabs this bitch, knocks her gun out. He starts killing all of them. But the way that they film this is a little better, because you only see the kills. Okay, now based on the rest of the blocking, you can infer that they all just stood there and waited to die. But because they don't explicitly show it, they only show Michael winning. You can use your imagination a little bit more here to kind of play around with it. So this is actually better than showing it. They only show the kills. So I liked that. But again, the point here is that Laurie is talking about how you can't beat him like that. You can't beat him with brute force. The character that they set up for this trilogy, the character that they've established to be, like, this is what's awful. They established a very specific framework for Michael Myers that they then went on to completely ignore in the following movie. They completely ignored their own setup. Just like Rian Johnson ignored all of the setups from The Force Awakens when he made The Last Jedi. It turns out when you ignore all of the setups, that's bad. When you give a setup, when you don't give a setup a payoff, it's bad. The solution that they came up with to defeat this Michael Myers was to nerf him and make him a COVID-ridden piece of shit. And that is insulting. Okay? And again, he's character assassinated and Ends in a lot of ways with the mask and this, that, and the other. The way he gets killed and Ends is so horrible and so bad. But that doesn't make this movie bad. Okay? I'm so upset that we did not get a proper conclusion to what they set up here. Because the Kills' job to establish to establish this Myers as a kind of unstoppable force, they did a good job here. They did such a good job, they had to fucking nerf him. They had to fucking release a balance patch and then nerf Myers for Halloween Ends. They had to call Behavior Interactive and say, "Hey, Behavior, can we nerf Myers? What's the best way to do that?" They literally had to nerf him. But that's Ends' fault. That's Ends' fault. Everything about Myers that Laurie's saying is true. That's why Laurie's saying it, so you know it's true, right? That's why they give those lines to her. Just awful. But that's Ends stuff. Again, that's Ends stuff. Ends being a disgrace is Ends being a disgrace. Common Halloween Ends L. So, basically, Tommy's the last one to die. Myers stabs him, stares into his eyes like they alluded to at the top of the movie. He's then smacked with the bat, old Huckleberry bat, and then once he smacks him with his face, the bat breaks, and then he raises the wooden part and then stabs him with it. So that's how Tommy goes out. Karen then sees Myers as a little boy at the bedroom window. Okay? That was obviously, she didn't actually see that. She didn't actually see that. That was just her remembering what Hawkins had said earlier about Myers staring out the window. And so she wanted to go put herself in his mindset. And so guess what happened? Myers had already gotten back into the house and killed her. Her death is a bit weak. They could have definitely filmed the stabbing sequence a little bit better there. They definitely could have filmed that a little bit better. But she slumps over. She's dead. In the extended cut, which is the one I watched for this review, Laurie calls Myers. This is a canon ending, by the way. They did explicitly state that this alternative ending is canon. Okay? Laurie then calls Karen, hears Michael breathing, and then she says, "I'm coming for you, Michael," grabs a knife, and walks toward the camera. That's the end of the movie. And then they shoot the ending shot of the knife, much like the ending shot of 2018. And then that's the movie. Of course, maybe Lori, like, tripped on the way out of the hospital, because then she got sidetracked for 4 years while Myers went and sat in the sewer. That's what happened next, guys. Lori got a little distracted. Maybe a butterfly flew past her or something after, like, Myers killed your daughter, but that doesn't matter. Just go get therapy. She'll tell you to get over it. And that therapy will somehow work, too, despite it not working for 40 years. But after he kills your daughter, it'll somehow work. You'll be better. You'll be talking about Allison getting her tits sucked in the next movie. And it's all good for everybody. Myers will get COVID. He'll be stuck in the sewer with the homeless people, drinking piss and eating rat shit. That's what'll happen to him. Allison will go work at the hospital. Like, you see, it's all bullshit. The fallout of the movie going into ends was completely illogical. It was illogical garbage. But that's for another day. So all in all, that's Halloween Kills. It may sound like I bitched a lot more about this movie than some of you were probably expecting me to bitch about this movie, but I will say this as we close things out here. This is a very solid Halloween movie. It is a very good character study of Michael fucking Myers. He is the character of this movie that matters. He is the main character. It is a good character study. Everything with Myers in this movie is utterly fantastic. Every time he's on screen, like, aside from a few blocking issues and some of his kills, he looks the part. He's Myers. Every he turns his head, he looks good. The unkillable sequence with the staircase is really good. The Firefighter massacre is brutal and looks really good. Aside from a few blocking issues on his scenes, everything was done perfectly. It's when Myers is not on screen that this movie suffers, because they have no ground to do the thing that they wanted to do. The world building was not there. Laurie's stuck in bed the whole movie, so she doesn't do much. The other characters don't get much to do in terms of their character work. Nothing changes. The framework's not there. It's a convoluted mess that was designed to be what it was without any regards to the world that they've previously established. So that's all garbage. But the Myers stuff is really good. And when you compare it to the rest of the movies in the fucking franchise, like, the Myers stuff's really good, and like a lot of the other stuff is not good in the other movies as well. So, like, it's definitely one of the better Halloween movies. It is a flawed movie, for sure. It's flawed, but the Myers character stuff is really good. How they explore his headspace and all that stuff. You get some good sequences, some good intimate moments with the character where you learn about him and what he does, while he works, how he functions, how he does this. Some of the little nuances that you don't see in some of the other movies. So that's all fantastic. Okay? You just have to put up with a lot of other shit in the meantime. So, how you will feel about this movie, that's all. That I can't tell you that. If you like Michael Myers, your chances of liking it will be higher. If you're a fan of the franchise, your chances of liking it will be higher. That's what I can tell you. If you don't like it, it's probably due to if you do not like the movie, it's definitely because of the shitty mob plot, which I've explained in detail why it sucks, and Evil Dies Tonight, and a lot of blocking issues. But other than, like, the blocking issues are more minor to me. Those are more nitpicks to me, at least. I can forgive the bad blocking. I've discussed it, and I get if people find it to be a bigger issue than it is. Some of the blocking stuff, like the doctor scene, is bad. I can forgive the firefighter stuff, though. I can. But I don't know. That's about all I have to say. How you're gonna feel about this movie is honestly up to you, man. It really, like, I can't. Some of the issues of this movie will stick out more to other people. It just depends. I can forgive a lot of it because the Myers stuff is really good. And the flashback's really good at the beginning, too. All right, that's all I got to say here, lads. I'm getting the hell out of here. GG's. Big review here. I'm tired. It's 4 o'clock in the morning over here. But it is daylight savings time, so. Oh, well. Getting the hell out of here. GG's.